Day 24, Hunduke reading taken from the Book of Mother of Peace, a memoir by Hak Jahan Moon. The marriage blessing ceremony of the Unification Church movement is the most sacred and precious event in human history. Why? It is because the blessing imparts Heavenly Parents' spiritual reality and allows a man and woman to embody its one flesh. It is the veritable marriage supper of the Lamb of which the Bible speaks. Our larger blessing ceremonies gather tens of thousands of couples, but there have been some with just 3 or 4, and once in a while my husband and I have blessed just one couple. Thousands of our representative blessed central families in Korea and throughout the world have also officiated blessing ceremonies. Millions of couples have received the marriage blessing. You will find these blessed families in every country. Couples composed of a Korean groom and Japanese bride, an American groom and German bride, a Senegalese groom and Filipino bride, all live in happiness. They overcome differences in language and lifestyle. The foundation for this is in the vows that blessed couples make during the blessing ceremony, that the husband and the wife share true love and live in accordance with God's will, a vision of true womanhood. There is an old saying in the West, behind every man, every great man is a great woman. It is true. The wife is necessary for the completion and perfection of the husband. Without his wife, a husband cannot be whole. A society in which womanhood does not complete and perfect manhood cannot give rise of peaceful and just world. Women need to fulfill the mission of the wife as well as the mission of mother. Both are essential to create a peaceful and just world. The mother gives birth to children and is called to raise them through their formative years. That is a right and responsibility given primarily to women. I have always been saddened by the reality of this world in which so often husbands fail to honor their wives and children fail to honor their mothers. In every age, righteous women have carried out their mission as wives and mothers in face of hardship. Following the path of women saints of all religious traditions, the women of our unification movement, in response to the heart of the true parents, have attended God while shedding their sweat and tears throughout our global village. True parents revealed the truth of the human fall and liberated women to fulfill their responsibilities as true daughters, true wives, and true mothers. In this age, by God's providence, what was previously impossible has been made possible. Women are independent beings who represent God's feminine aspect and thus make men whole. It is time for women to rise above the popular trend of trying to improve their status by imitating men. This only casts the relationship between men and women as one of competition in culture that ignores their God-given and God-incarnating uniqueness. God designed men and women for a relationship in which each gives their divine and unique gifts to the other, and each receives the other's divine and unique gifts with true awareness and love. Women are not just men's assistant any more than men are women's assistants. Women and men need each other's protection. Through the true man and woman relationship, each perfects the others and become one with the other in the creation of a greater whole, embodied as a child, as a family, as a nation, and as the world. At this time, women need to follow heaven's way, attend true parents, and become central figures who together with men bring forth a new world based on the culture of heart. We need to rid ourselves of fallen traits and realize the original culture, bringing a pushon, the nation and world of goodness and love long sought by humanity. This begins at the center of the world, the home, which its woman embraces her husband as the embodiment of true love and raises their sons and daughters with the heart of a true parent. Based upon God's providence, my husband and I have called women to take the lead in the creation of families that embody God's original plan. Families in which the wife lives for her husband and the husband lives for his wife. The parents for the children and children for their parents. Such a family will overflow with love and God's blessing will come to stay. Women need to walk the path of true mother and at the same time the path of a true wife and the path of the true daughter. Women have the magical power to create harmony and to soften hearts. Brides build bridges. A world of the future can be a world of reconciliation and peace, but only if it is based on the maternal love and affection of women. This is the true power of womanhood. The time has come for the power of true womanhood to save the world. The New Age centers on womanhood. At the end of May in 2016, the United Nations hosted its Education for Global Citizenship conference in Gyeongju, South Korea. The UN Secretary General and more than 4,000 representatives of non-government organizations from 100 nations came together and held discussions on how to create a brighter world. At that conference, the UN selected the Women's Federation for World Peace to be a part of the discussion as one of the small number of NGOs with consultative status. In recognition of its genuine and wide-ranging activities for peace over the years, it seemed as if just a few days had passed since the Women's Federation was taking its first steps to establish itself in the world. In that moment, WFWP's spirit of peace and service, which we had practiced with devotion throughout the world, shone brightly. The inception of the Women's Federation traces back to 1991. In September of that year, some 7,000 women, including the wife of the Japanese Prime Minister, came together in Tokyo, Japan, to inaugurate the Women's Federation for Peace in Asia. As the founder, I gave a speech entitled "The True Love Movement Bringing Salvation to Asia and the World." The next year, I gave a speech to 50,000 people in Tokyo Dome, a crowd that had gathered with only 15-day notice. I spoke with passion burning deep within, and many hearts were moved. The following April, 160,000 women from 70 countries gathered in Seoul, where thousands buses created a traffic jam downtown as they conveyed these crowds to the main Olympic Stadium. This tremendous number of women leaders had come to participate in the proclamation of the era of women. The Women's Federation for World Peace was born on that day. This was not to be just one more women's organization, but a mirror reflecting this new age. My speech that day provided a compass to guide humankind out of the world of war, violence, and conflict, and into the ideal world of one woman family led by men and women in harmony, overflowing with love and peace. Over the months following that event, I traveled the world to encourage women leaders and launch a true women's movement that could win the hearts of both men and women. I joyfully met with leaders from all walks of life, and we held women's conferences successfully all over the world. Until now, neither men nor women have known the true value of womanhood. As a result, men have not approached women with authentic appreciation. To break that mold, women in modern times have campaigned to advance their rights and achieve liberation from past restriction. They have, for the most part, taken a position of complaint against men and channeled their energy into political movements to change laws. With a different perspective, I launched the Women Federation for World Peace as movement to awaken women to their true value and help them embrace men and develop themselves in partnership with men. To be a clear mirror that reflects this age, each woman first needs to be clear and pure within herself. Each needs to find the indomitable power within that is necessary to overcome self-centeredness. She needs to become a true daughter who attends her parents with filial piety, a true wife who completes her husband with fidelity and devotion. Moreover, she needs to become a true mother who raises her sons and daughters with love and dedication. She needs to form a family of the love that attends God. God will raise up such true women as leaders on the path to world peace. A mother's hand soothes a stomach ache. "Mommy, my stomach hurts." When a child complains of stomach ache, his mother lays him on her lap and rubs his tummy without a single word. Her hands may be gnarled and rough, but in a few moments, the child feels better. This may be a simple approach, but it is a practice based on love. We all dimly remember our mother's warm touch. This is the very touch in which I long to embrace all of humankind as a mother of the universe and a mother of peace. As we all know from our own experience, a mother's heart, her child's cry very clearly, and she has no thought but to quickly run for her child. This is because a mother's love and attention are directed solely towards her children. A mother will walk through a pure pit without hesitation to save her child. Koreans often pray for chumbok, which means living in happy contentment even without possession or power. Health is most important for happiness. We have a saying, if you lose your possessions, you have lost little. If you lose your reputation, you have lost a lot. But if you lose your health, you have lost everything. Taking these words very seriously, I have long pondered over the secret of good health. It is not easy for anyone to live their entire life without ever getting sick. During my early life, I saw many people suffering from malnutrition or whose lives are broken by injury or disease. At age 16, when I entered St. Joseph Nursing School, I felt joy and pride knowing I had found exactly what I needed to do. However, in taking on the mission of the Mother of Peace, I had no choice but to put the vocation aside. While traveling around the world, I saw many children who could have become healthy if they had better care. Some lost their sight, some had limbs amputated because they could not be treated in time. This pain remains a deep knot in my heart. I want to be the mother who can embrace all people who are ill, physically and spiritually. When we injure a toe, we feel the pain throughout the entire body. As the mother of one family under God, I feel the pain of each person as my own pain. Having fallen ill myself in countries not my own, I know what it means to be a foreigner in need of medical care. Thus it was with great joy and satisfaction that Father Moon and I decided to realize the dream I had when I attended nursing school. We established an international hospital in Korea where all people can receive expert spiritual and physical care and feel a mother's touch. When we get sick, from the depth of our hearts, we yearn for our mother's warm touch. However, our mother is not always near us. To provide the mother's touch, after receiving permission and to build in 1999, we opened the J.H. Magnolia International Medical Center, formerly Chongshim International Medical Center, in 2003. It overlooks Chumpyong Lake, where the waters are clear and the mountains are beautiful. The medical center is not a typical hospital. Beyond providing excellent standard treatment, we focus on the true meaning of health. Health does not simply mean having a sturdy body. An original human being is mind and body united in harmony. Thus, unification medical science is based on the principles of truth and the spirit of love. The H.J. Magnolia International Medical Center is the first facility to develop and implement this new model. Doctors and nurses from various nations take care of patients with a motherly heart in the midst of beautiful natural surroundings, which are heaven's gifts. They are answering a question that has been neglected until now. Does faith in God truly enhance our health? The answer to this question is not difficult. For good health, the harmony of our mind and body is an important agent of healing, and faith is what allows us to realize the harmony. The H.J. Magnolia International Medical Center not only uses state-of-the-art medical techniques, but it is also the first full-scale hospital to integrate spiritual healing in the prevention and treatment of disease. Behind these are true mother's prayers for physical and spiritual salvation of all people so that none may be orphans. We must take care of our health when we are healthy. Most of the time, we tend to ignore that simple fact. In our busy lives, we can easily forget to take care of our mind and body. God gave us a blessing to be fruitful. That does not only refer to producing offspring or generating material prosperity. It means to have spiritual, psychological, and physical health. The mission of Yojo Magnolia International Medical Center is to provide people the joy. Every year, a team from H.J. Magnolia International Medical Center, together with volunteers from various walks of life, offers medical services in Southeast Asia and Africa. In these countries, many people despair for lack of medical treatment. Lack of medication sometimes leads to amputation, blindness, or even the loss of life. My husband and I established the H.J. Magnolia Global Medical Foundation in the hope for humankind to achieve total health, to provide everything from voluntary medical services in impoverished area to enlighten us to the cause of disease and the path of true health. Women unite religions in the Middle East. In 1969, on our first world tour together, my husband and I visited Israel. The day we arrived was extremely hot. Israel is a small country, one-fifth the size of South Korea. It did not take us long to visit all the sites mentioned in the Bible. As we toured, we reflected on why the history of this area, which seemed to us so peaceful, has always been ripe with disputes, conflicts, and terrorism. The Middle East includes the Holy Land, where Jesus was born 2,000 years ago. It has been the home of eminent peoples whose flourishing civilization led global culture. Today, however, it is marred by the bitterness of religious conflict, with terrorist attacks sometimes taking the lives of innocent people. Trusting God for our safety, our Women's Federation for World Peace dove into the heart of the Middle East to build peace through reconciliation and love. From the late 1960s, unification men and women missionaries from Europe went out to countries in the Middle East, including Turkey, Jordan, Iran, and Lebanon. Some were arrested and some were deported, but others found ways to stay. Even so, those who entered Islamic countries that strictly forbade other faiths to proselytize risk incarceration, beatings, or worse from the authorities. Despite these, through the dedication, teaching, and service of our members, the local people came to understand them and gradually opened the doors to their hearts. By the mid-1980s, these missionaries brought eminent Muslim clergy to our Assembly of the World Religions and Council for the World Religious Conferences. And this clergy in turn brought Muslim citizens from the Middle East and North Africa, sometimes hundreds at a time, to attend 40-day Divine Principle workshop in New York in the early 1990s. Beginning in 1992, Islamic couples who were moved by the teaching of the principle gratefully received the marriage blessing. Upon this foundation, in November of 1993, I traveled to Turkey to speak on true parents and the completed testament age. People tried to deter me from visiting the Middle East, saying it would be extremely dangerous and that audiences would walk out if I delivered a speech that did not suit them. That did not deter me in the least, for I had gone through worse situations many times. Even if there is only one person waiting to receive me, I considered it my mission as God's mediator, the only begotten daughter, to go to at the ends of the earth to meet the path person and open for him or her the gate of salvation. As I was forewarned, half the audience of Istanbul got up and left during my speech because I did not mention either Islam or the Prophet Muhammad. I realized that the road ahead in the Middle East would not be so a smooth one. On the heels of that event, my next engagement was in Jerusalem. My family and movement's leaders again voiced concern. They pointed out that it was an epicenter of war and tried to persuade me to wait until a calmer time. Nonetheless, I went to Jerusalem and after my arrival, encountered a different problem. Opposition from Jewish leaders had led to the venue abruptly canceling our reservation. We found another hall, but there, as in Istanbul, many people left during my speech because what I said was not in accord with their beliefs. As in Istanbul, neither daunted nor discouraged, I finished my speech. I knew that God had suffered over the Middle East for thousands of years, and I was experiencing a small taste of that pain. I knew that even those who left early had received something of value that would grow in their hearts. As the world ushered in a new millennium, the American Clergy Leadership Conference took our ministry for peace in the Middle East to a new level. This initiative was to bring reconciliation between Jews and Christians. Based on this call for Christians to embrace the Jewish people, it was discovered that the cross is a barrier to that unity. Therefore, Christians called for the end of the era of the cross, taking down their crosses and focusing on the resurrection and victory of Jesus in love. In May 2003, members of the Christian clergy from the United States and Europe as well as Israel marched through the streets of Jerusalem carrying a cross. In a prayer of repentance and forgiveness, buried that cross in the field of blood, which is said to have been bought by Judas Iscariot with the 30 pieces of silver he received for betraying Jesus. A Jewish woman present at that event said she felt as if 4,000 years of sorrow on the part of her people had finally dissipated. Within the same year, we conducted the Jerusalem Declaration for the reconciliation of the three Abrahamic faiths and held a ceremony in Jerusalem's main park. On that stage, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Druze clergy crowned Jesus as the King of Israel. Our message was clear. Jesus came to humanity as our King of Kings, but he was rejected and crucified, and so called not to realize the literal kingdom of God that he declared to be near. The coronation ceremony was attended by people of all the Abrahamic faiths, thus liberating Jesus from his sorrow. On that day, and others like it, we created the environment in which religious leaders from around the world, together with Jewish and Palestinian Israelis, embrace in tears. Adieu.